Hello and welcome to the Monsters Miss Mayhem podcast. I'm your local slime crow, Silver, and our horn beautiful empress is
chaotic, but I don't feel like that works.
That works perfectly fine.
If you say so.
What do you have for us today, Chaotic?
Well, with it being that time of year, we could talk about Santa Claus. But instead, we're going to talk about his counterpart.
Buddy the Elf.
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ, Silver. No. We're going to talk about his counterpart, Krampus.
Ah, the Santa Claus that only gives you cramps. He comes once a month.
I will leave this podcast. I know I threaten it almost every episode, but I will leave.
I know a little bit about Krampus. Yeah. But would you like to give everybody a rundown then for us? Everybody. Yeah. We'd like to give us and the listeners a rundown on Krampus.
I would actually love to hear what you know, and then I would kind of like fill in around so that way I can tell you what's up.
I know he is from like the Alps and stuff, mainly originated from. I know there is a festival for him. He's on postcards. I know he has a switch that he beats people with and a sack to shove kids in. Sometimes he has one human foot and one cloven hoof. That's all that I can remember off the top of my head. I know there's a movie based on him that I did not watch. Or have not watched.
That's fair. That's fair. We do need to get you to watch it, though.
Maybe we can watch in Discord or something sometime.
We do need to do movie nights at some point. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Because I'm behind on my movie list. It exists
always
somewhere.
Behind on your movie list. Not lie about it. Always. All right. So there's obviously a couple of different types of Krampus. You talked about one where he has the switch. He's actually known as a, what is his name? Belsnickel or Necked Rupert is a black-bearded man who carries switches to beat children during Christmas time. He originates in Germanic religions. The name Krampus is derived from the word krampen, meaning claw, and is said to be the son of Hel in Norse mythology, which I thought was neat. I like Norse mythology and learning about Hel. I think Hel is pretty cool. The legendary beast also shares characteristics with other scary demonic creatures, like satyrs and fauns and stuff like in Greek mythology, with the horns and the hooves and stuff like being half goat kind of thing. He was created as a counterpart for St. Nicholas. Like St. Nicholas obviously awards like the good kids. Like he was, he brought you presents, he brought you candy, he brought you all the good stuff. And Krampus is the one who swats wicked children, stuffs them in a sack, and takes them away to his lair. There's a folklore that on the night of December 5th, known as Krampusnacht or Krampus Night, the next day, December 6th, Nicholasdag or St. Nicholas Day, when children look outside their door, if they see a shoe or a boot they'd left out the night before, it'll contain either presents or a rod, knowing whether or not you're going to have Santa or Krampus kind of gunning for you. Which I think is like ominous as hell. So like you just leave your shoe outside and you're like, oh, I had a really good year. And then you walk out there and there's a rod and you're like, oh, good, cool. So I'm getting dragged to somebody's lair to get beat. Like that's what I get for Christmas. That's great. The Catholic Church kind of forbade some celebrations and stuff revolving Krampus because they found it like despicable and it was like a creation of like democratics. And
they usually do.
Yeah. And he kind of had a re-up in the last couple of years, there's a lot of like bleh nature towards Christmas in pop culture, trying to find a way to celebrate Yuletide and stuff like that in different ways than the normal. So a lot of people embrace the dark side of Christmas. They made like Krampus movies, they've got television episodes and stuff that feature him. They throw parties. There's all kinds of like, when the devil became cool, so did Krampus, because everybody likes like the dark lore of Krampus, of course, because that's, you know, that's like today's day and age interest.
I think I heard too that Krampus means claw, right?
Yeah, it's the translation from into German. I'm pretty sure it means claw.
So, if Krampus means claw, does Krampus have elves?
So in like the article forms, I've not seen anything about elves, but in most of his forms in social media and pop culture, he does tend to have like demonic elves or toys that help him.
So, you're saying that Krampus has toys that help him, and he translates to claw. So you're saying the little green man?
I see what you're doing. Nope, absolutely stop it. Nope, I see what you're doing. No.
The claw. Krampus is in Toy Story, confirmed by Chaotic.
Insert Stipe sound of hanging up here and just yeet the rest of the podcast out. We're done. We're leaving. It's over.
So does Krampus take any other forms? Is he generally human looking with the goats and the horns, or is he bigger than Saint Nick, Santa Claus?
I don't know if you know about Baphomet.
I have seen him in many animes. They use him a lot, quite. You know, he's a demon or a devil. He has the goat's face and walks bipedal, right? With wings and horns.
They say that he mostly looks like Baphomet, and you described Baphomet and what you see, and it's the most common kind of description for anything satanic. Lucifer, you know, everybody pictures the big goat head, like kind of like a man's body, goat legs, and that tends to be the most common approach for Krampus. I picture him to be a lot bigger. I feel like he's, you know, like Santa Claus. So when I picture Saint Nick, I imagine North from Rise of the Guardians. I don't know if you've ever watched that, but he's tattooed, and his lists are like tattooed on him, and he's huge. I mean, there is no way you're telling me that man is some huge, overly overweight, jolly man in a sleigh doing what he does every night. He is a ripped dude working out, throwing these presents out. Like that's what I picture. So I picture that Krampus has to be just as big, if not bigger, than St. Nicholas to do what he does, because he's taking kids and punishing them and not just bringing magical gifts, you know?
Yeah, he'd have to be. I imagine, because he has to take kids too, so he's lifting all the kids in the sack. Yeah, kitty. Lifting all those kids in the sack as well. And he has to be able to run around, chase the kids too, to catch them, to put them in the sack. Yeah,
and when we watch the movie Krampus, you'll see that he's a horror icon kind of too. So, I mean, he's murdering, you know, like he gets kind of creepy. So you got to have like strength and stuff for that. You got to be a little bit demonic. But I think he'd be pretty big. I think he'd be closer to 7 or 8 foot. I feel like he'd have a little bit of a hunch, obviously, because of the goat stuff, the goat legs. You know, they compared him to a satyr or a faun. So I feel like he would walk in that sense too. He usually wears a huge coat, just like Saint Nick. Like he's verbatim kind of dressed like Saint Nick. He has the sack that you think could be full of presents. It's when you notice those horns and those legs that you know it's not Saint Nick. So I feel like they have a lot of similarities, but ultimately I feel like his most common appearance is that of like the Baphomet with like a big jolly coat on, with the red sack and stuff. There is a couple of instances I read, like the other cultures who celebrate him under different names. It was like the big black bearded man, you know, like Saint Nick in Catholicism has the big white beard. So in some Catholicism traditions, there is the man with the big black beard, just stuff like that. I think it's either way, it's just kind of supposed to be an opposition. They just picture him in different cultures and stuff a little differently, but the most commonly known one is the more satanic, demonic, goat man one.
So, Krampus, was he originally Catholic, pagan? Since you mentioned hell and that's Norse.
Everything that I read says that he derives more from like actual Catholicism in Germany. It seems like that's where he originated. It was by the time World War II had happened, and Germany was going through a lot of their dark stages, that they kind of like pushed him away. I think that it began closer like the end of the 1800s, beginning of 1900s, in Germany and Austria mostly is where it began. And he was just kind of created to scare kids into doing what they're supposed to do. And it just kind of took off from there, because now there's celebrations for him. There's people celebrate him almost as much as they celebrate St. Nicholas in a lot of cultures and places. So it's it could definitely, I feel like, be from almost anywhere, but I do believe the original Krampus is straight from Germany or Austria.
Okay, makes sense with what his name is and everything. I just found something too. Just kind of doing little quick Google searches as we do. And there's something called a Krampus run that happens every year.
I love the Krampus run. It's a bunch of kids that dress up like Krampus and run around scaring the shit out of people. It is absolutely wonderful.
I found the one from 2022 this year, which they just posted 12 days ago.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I want to watch it. I'm ready.
So it looks like they got a bunch of Krampus.
So they got the big guy up in like the center area, and then they got a bunch of Krampuses kind of escorting him. Is what it looks like.
They all got switches. That guy's got a staff.
He kind of looks like a Yeti.
Yeah, he does. He looks like he'd eat children.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We shall post this to the Discord for anybody that's wondering.
It's something else for sure.
We'll zoom through here a little bit. That way, since you guys can't hear it either or see it right now, with this being an audio format. Oh,
not the commercial.
The Krampus that eats children, and we get the ad for St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
That's so fucked up. That's not cool. Fuck you, YouTube. That was not okay. Read the room.
We'll just skip that ad.
Why does he have trees stuffed down his butt?
Those are his birch whips. His birch.
Oh, you're right. Switches. You're right. Switches. You're right.
No,
I was just sitting here like, that's a lot of leaves coming out of his butt. So that one's pretty docile. I've seen a lot of them that are literally people running through like the town. So do you remember when we talked about the Terrast and they have that event where they're all like dressed as the Terrast and they let it slide down and people are like getting hit and stuff? I've seen things.
Spikes off him.
Yeah, I've seen things about Krampus Knot, which is Krampus Night or Krampus Run, where they're literally just like running through the streets as Krampus.
That would be fun to do and participate in.
I think it would be a blast. I would love to dress up as Krampus. New cosplay idea.
We should get a group together for ColossalCon just to do a Krampus run through ColossalCon.
Dude, yes.
I guess that's not the right holiday time for it. But I think there is a convention in December around that time for in Columbus we could do. Be about the right time for it. Gen Con, I think. GalaxyCon. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, getting back to Krampus. Does Krampus eat the children? Is he kind of like Gryla in that sense?
There's some lores where he eats the kids, but a lot of it is that he takes them to his lair and tortures them for the day of Christmas. Like, they don't get any presents. They don't get any interaction with family. They don't get to spend time with their parents. It's just a lot of dark, twisted, creepy stuff that happens. But I feel like there is multiple folklores out there where he eats them. Yeah, it's like a big, because I know in the pop culture movies and stuff that he's been adapted through, that's generally what they do in the movies. He's eating or killing or, stuff like that.
It's just children. He doesn't go after any of the adults at all.
I mean, in the movies and stuff, of course, because it's horror, but in the folklores, it is purely children, yeah.
Okay. So he is one of those people that doesn't like to pick on people his own size.
I don't even know if it's people his own size as it is. And this is a theory, and I'm just gonna put it out there, and I feel like other people believe me. When we get older and we turn into adults, we lose Christmas spirit. So we stop believing in St. Nicholas. We stop believing in the miracles of Christmas. We stop worrying and thinking that snow is magical. It becomes a nuisance. It's upsetting. Children see all of that magic. So why would Krampus bother with a bunch of nobodies who don't even care about Christmas spirit when there's kids that he can literally feed off of that believe in Christmas spirit and abuse that Christmas spirit by being bad children for the Yuletide year? You know what I mean? So I feel like he wouldn't interact with humans. Kids aren't human, just so you know. He wouldn't even interact with adults because they already don't have Christmas spirit. So if he is eating them, I'm sure they don't have quote unquote seasoning on them if they're not even in the spirit. Like he would just show up and they'd be like, "Who are you? Like, I don't believe in you," kind of thing. A lot like I talked about Guardians, Rise of the Guardians. The big issue was nobody ever saw Jack Frost because nobody believed in Jack Frost because everybody thinks you have to see to believe. And so because of that, adults tend to not believe or tend not to have childish mannerisms and the ideas of Christmas and Easter and all these holidays that we've created in religion and interest and different opinions, and we lose all that spirit. So the people that, the entities and the celestials and the spirits that run those and that are those, they wouldn't want to mess with anybody who doesn't have any of that in them anyways. So I feel like that would be his reasoning for adulthood, an adult lack thereof eating them, and he would go more after children because children do have all of that Christmas spirit.
Christmas spirit equals spicy seasoning or sweet seasoning.
Yeah, maybe they taste like candy canes instead of like Cajun.
Adults be spicy, children be sweet.
I feel like adults would be like gross.
Oatmeal?
What like what is it? What are those? Isn't there like a certain monster that only eats youthful people, and then they like older people don't taste as good? I feel like it would work the same way with like a Krampus or Gryla situation. Like adults are like chewy, you know what I mean? And
They're
kids are like
tough.
the perfect little, yeah. Like you don't want to eat that. That's not your first meal. You would if you had to, but like your first choice is definitely going to be like the little soft marshmallows.
It's like old pizza compared to fresh pizza.
Right. It's comparing our real life pizza to the pizza that it looks like they have in TMNT. Like, you know, that pizza slaps.
Yeah.
And you know ours is just never gonna meet that.
The stretchy cheese.
Yeah, oh God. That and in Goofy's new movie or Goofy movies.
The Goofy
whenever,
movie.
God, every time they pull those, it just looks
Yeah.
so good. We'll never achieve that in real life.
Just like the Leaning Tower of Cheesa will never be able to compete.
Oh, it was, yeah. Nope, could never. So I just feel like it's like that. Like he just doesn't, I don't think we would be very good to him if he did eat us, kind of thing. I didn't realize I was wearing one of my shirts. My friend that runs my Etsy shop that has our merch in the shop, our shirts, she made this for me. And it says "Making Spirits Bright," and it's Grinch, but it's tarot cards.
Oh, nice. I like it.
And Grinch could be a form of Krampus. He's pretty mean.
Yeah,
But,
Dr. Seuss could have taken hints from him.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the behaviors and stuff. But yeah, that was neat. I didn't realize I was wearing that and ready for today.
Yeah, he lives in the mountains. He comes down once a year to try and ruin Christmas, and he's mean to kids.
I think we pretty well covered the actual legend of Krampus. There's not a whole lot of detail. They leave it pretty open-ended, like as far as his like finite details, like how he does it when he comes. So it's fairly open for interpretation, I think, just for scaring kids and the reasons behind it and the religion behind it kind of thing. But it's really neat to learn about him. He's a neat entity.
A lot of it's probably due to everybody kind of throwing their own spin on the Krampus as he spreads throughout the world. Krampus is probably spread and evolved so much as a myth throughout the time, from being in Germany, Austria, the Alps, and spreading across the world. I bet people's put their own spin on it and mixed the mythology with other mythologies. It's just evolved and changed. This, even any mythology, it's so wide and varied sometimes, being originated from verbal stories.
Right. It's like the telephone game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, we try to make it as accurate as possible, but people like to put their own twist on it, their own little, like it very well could have started as a dude that was literally walking around stealing children during Christmas time, and they were like, we're going to turn this into something awesome.
Ooh, that reminds me of a story I heard about Krampus. Can I say it for the media?
Yeah.
So we're going into that?
Yeah, we're going into media anyways.
It's another form of Krampus, as you talked about, but this was French. So, it started off with this cannibal, okay? And he ran a butcher's shop. And this was when France wasn't doing so hot, so he would go and he'd find kids. And he'd content warning, child death. Just skip this next few things. And also cannibalism. He'd...
I don't think you covered the cannibalism when you said it was a cannibal idea. I wasn't sure what was going to happen there, so...
It's one of those nights.
You're fine.
This gentleman, I forget his name, but he in real life he was a cannibal butcher that would find kids, cut them up, sell the meat in his butcher shops as pork to people.
That is terrifying.
Oh yeah. And he eventually he did get caught, but they turned him into a Krampus-like creature. They said that Saint Nick came into his butcher shop one day looking for food, and Saint Nick noticed the pork, air quotes, and he's like, I know what you have done. And he threw all the meat into his bag, and it just says he opened it back up, and then out popped all the kids. So he like reassembled and realived all the kids.
I don't like that. First of all, Santa Claus just got turned into a necromancer. Not even a necromancer, because they were turned into meat. And second of all, go ahead.
It was a Christmas miracle.
It was something. And also, naturally, St. Nicholas is terrifying in that instance, because he really just be watching everybody when they're sleeping.
Oh, yeah. And then after this, he ends up enslaving this butcher as his Krampus.
I hate every ounce of that story. Don't like a single ounce of it. Imagine being like, no, you can't do this. And then being like, but for me, you can kidnap kids once a year. Like, that's not how this works, bro.
Hey, St. Nicholas wasn't always a happy, jolly fellow.
That's a lit story, I will say. It's something. It's something.
Yeah, it's like wish level magic in D&D.
Yeah, it's something.
I wish that any meat I throw in this bag would re-alive them and reassemble them.
That's disturbing. Just in his bag, just a bunch of flop meat, and then out comes kids.
You just shake it a couple times and kind of roll it across Yahtzee, and a bunch of kids come tumbling out.
Wow. Anyways, for our media portion, I actually am going to show you the movie trailer to Krampus, okay?
Okay.
Have you watched it?
No.
Perfect. Hang on. It is rated M for mature. They've made quite a few movies. Media-wise, they've made quite a few movies. There's tons of songs, video games. He's a pretty big legend out there.
Starting to gain more and more popularity too. Probably with more people wanting to see more than just happy old Saint Nick. You want to see the other half. You don't get the rocks. You don't get the rocks as in coal. You get the stick as in the switch. Not the Nintendo one.
Not the fun Switch. Not the fun one.
There are several varieties of fun switches, but you don't get any of those.
Do you know any media in particular that you are familiar with him in it?
Podcasts. There's a, you know that Santa Claus is coming tonight? Song?
Yeah.
There's a Krampus is coming tonight.
Oh.
It's actually fairly good. It's got the same type of beat to it.
We're putting it in the podcast Discord, right?
Yes. I think I just added it on my liked song list, so I should be able to find it and post it in the Discord with the movie trailer and the Krampus run that we kind of talked about earlier.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of for media, kind of, besides their celebrations of Krampusnacht and YouTube videos.
I agree. So this is one of the instances where I believe I have a lot of Christmas spirit. Okay. I still believe in St. Nicholas and I still believe in Christmas spirit and stuff like that. I think that if Krampus was real, kids would behave a lot more around the holidays. I just mayhem wise, I really feel like, I mean, as a parent, like, it would be terrifying to mark your kid down as the naughty list because you know it's going to happen to him. You know what I mean? Like, it would be terrifying. But if it's just the Krampus that takes him down, doesn't let him have fun on Christmas Day and brings him back up, like, maybe that's a lesson needed, you know? But if he's eating kids, yeah, that could be pretty devastating if your kid's not good for Christmas.
I see why in the times they had, like, over a dozen kids per family. And, you know, if one of them gets eaten by Krampus, the rest of them would kind of be, you know, listen a little better.
That's hilarious.
But with today's economy, where you're limited to children, as in not over a dozen or 2 dozen kids per family, I agree. He'd cause such a issue. Anything involving kids and eating kids, just kind of like Gryla, would be like, gotta stop it. People would be trying to put an end to Krampus, but I don't think he can be injured. I haven't seen anything. He's more like the incarnate of Santa Claus.
Yeah,
the shadow incarnate.
Yeah, it's I think like a lot of like, you know, like everybody loves Tim Allen's version of Santa Claus. We love the Santa Clauses. Those are great Christmas movies to watch. The idea that if you catch Santa and he falls off the roof and you have to take his place, you know, they have little quirky things they put into movies like that. But in most legends about Saint Nicholas and Krampus both, they are immortal beings, period, point blank. Like, there's no way to get rid of them. They're there because literally, like, most people put him on the same pedestal as gods because he delivers and brings joy to everyone for an entire season for a year. You know what I mean? Like, he's even in a good example of Saint Nicholas is in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He comes back because the curse is lifted up off of from the White Witch. So he's able to come back and actually celebrate Christmas and stuff with them. And it's a big deal because he was never able to do anything about the White Witch, but the White Witch could never get rid of Saint Nicholas. She knew she could not kill him, and she knew she could kill Aslan, who is basically the representation of God in that entire story. But she knew she couldn't touch Saint Nicholas. Like, that just tells you the pedestal that he gets put on in media, in folklores, in legends. Like, I feel like because Krampus is the shadow of that, you physically cannot get rid of that. Those are just two entities that at all times, I mean, almost every religion has a form of Christmas spirit, Saint Nicholas, that is in one way or another kind of like the spirit that's brought to people during a time of need. And those beings tend to not be like able to be capitalized on. They can't be hurt. They can't be harmed. They're immortal. They can't, stuff like that. So I think like you said, he just wouldn't be somebody you could touch.
As the song says, he knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. So that means he is omnipotent, right?
Yes.
And omnipotent because he can be there and make and he judges and everything. So that does make him godlike.
Yes. Yep. And it's funny that Krampus is who we look at as like the horror icon, but it's so easy to make Santa creepy. It's so easy to make St. Nicholas creepy. So it's just funny to think that, St. Nicholas is probably a pretty dark guy too in some lores, but then all we did was just take all of his shadow qualities and toss him in a devil goat man when maybe it's just St. Nicholas.
Yeah, he could transform into either or. If you've been naughty, it's his werewolf persona, his goat persona.
It's his blood hunter form when he's rolling dice, Yeah. His blood hunter form, he's innocent until he gets a blood curse.
He just chose goat instead of like werewolf.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a werewolf. That's fine. You could be a werebunny. You can be a were Santa. Nobody said anything about that.
Another thing that make Krampus even more horrifying, which I possibly might have heard as well, is Krampus is a species, not a monster, or not a single name.
I have heard that too. Like, there's multitudes of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Saint Nick just goes down and picks one to be the Krampus for the year.
Or maybe because they don't have, maybe they're not like as magical as Saint Nicholas. Maybe they all have designated areas.
Yeah, you're the north part of the Alps. You're the south part of the Alps. You're the west part. Okay, you get a flight to North America.
It's really crazy that because we were talking about the Alps and stuff at the very beginning and some of the lores and stuff, and just recently on my TikTok, all kinds of Appalachian lores have just been yeeting themselves at me on TikTok, and they're terrifying. I mean, terrifying lores. Like, everybody's like, if you go to the Alps, you didn't see it, you didn't hear it, walk away, don't acknowledge it. And that's like the general rule for anything that exists in the Appalachians. And I just think it would be really neat to do some more things on them, because the things that they talk about are so terrifying.
I think we have two different Alps we're talking about.
Oh God.
You're talking about the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee? I was thinking the ones over in Germany.
Yes, the ones in Germany, the Alps.
Are they're not Appalachian Mountains?
That's what the tags on TikTok say. So I don't know. I have the ones in Tennessee are smoky.
They call those
the Smoky Mountain. Those are not the Appalachians.
They call those the Appalachians with the.
Please hold on. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a lesson. We're gonna do a lesson.
Yeah, though it's the Ohio, and that's the Appalachian Mountain Range, ain't it? And the Alps are just like the Swiss Alps. Geography.
So, fun fact, they are different. So the Appalachians are the ones here in the United States, and the Alps are the ones over in like Norway and Great Britain and Ireland and stuff. However, both of them withhold the same creatures.
Huh.
Did you know?
I didn't know that. So you're saying the Appalachian and the Alps are portals to each other?
That would be extremely creepy to think about. This thing that I'm on right now, it's telling me like some geography, like which one was older, which one was around longer, what's the difference. And the Alps are much taller with an average height of 10,000 feet, and the Appalachians are older, dating back over 400 million years. The Alps are much more densely populated with over 12 million people living in the mountain range. And the Appalachians were formed 480 million years ago during the Ordovician period. So both have extremely old, extremely scary, extremely frightening beings living inside of it. So I probably, because one was the Alps, because one was talking about the Swiss Alps, and she was talking about basically Slenderman type creatures. She was talking about those, and then the other ones were the Appalachians, and they were talking about like a forest beast that's like as tall as the trees. And both videos were back to back, and I must have just seen Alps and Appalachians and just correlated, but it was literally back to back. There's like 50 of them every time I scroll through my TikTok, but they're just talking about these mountain range terrifying, and then like Native American ones. There's all kinds of Native American lore ones going on, and I'm just like, it's a sign.
Some of them are close to us.
I don't like that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It's the mayhem section, and you guys just got a geology lesson. Geology lesson.
A mayhem section, you got a geology lesson. I love it. That's what it is from now on, mayhem and geology lessons. But yeah, I think overall mayhem-wise, it would, like you said, it'd be a lot like Gryla. I feel like the same consensus. People would be trying to get rid of him because he's eating kids and stuff, it's stealing them. But like you said, there's no defeating him. It would just be something that would be a horrific thing if it happened. You better tell your kids to be good.
Because even Krampus can watch you when you sleep.
Not to like revert things, but my holiday merch says she sees you when you're sleeping. And this is just all tying in so well. I love it so much.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed. Wait, is there any more chaotic before I sign us off?
No. Go ahead and sign us off. You were like, we're done with this conversation. It's time to end the podcast. I'll see you guys later.
I don't remember what I was saying before, but thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you liked this episode about Krampus. Maybe it informed you a little bit. Just remember, we are neither experts nor professionals. We just like to have a little fun with you guys and these monsters, creatures, myths, gods, demons. If you would, please like the episode, the series. Hit one of those little, the star buttons on the ratings. Maybe a 5, if you would. I seen we finally got our Spotify rating. I don't know if I said that before, but we're at a 4.9.
Let's go. That's awesome.
I have yet to check Apple because I am bad at that. But if you leave a Apple review starting in January, I'm going to just kind of read off maybe one at the end of the show to make it funny or make it serious. I'll read off. Maybe we'll comment on it.
Also, before yeeting ourselves out of the podcast, I would like, if anybody in the viewership comes into stream or is in the Discord, I would like to know your opinions on what you think it would be worth if we started a podcast TikTok.
Before they shut TikTok down, or try to.
Well, always. They're always trying to do that. But
yeah.
I think it would be neat to, number one, tell like fun stories. Like you and I could like have you send me just a video of you telling like a super quirky story and I can edit it and put it up on TikTok. I could do that. I could do the same things. We could have the logins to it and like go back and forth and utilize it. But I think it would be really neat to kind of feature the podcast on TikTok itself and do some fun things. Even like when we're doing stuff like this, like waving hi or just being silly or goofy, I think it would be interesting. Because we talked about editing like the video recordings and stuff and making TikToks and stuff. So I just feel like we'd really benefit from it. So I want to see if the viewers think we would benefit from it. So if you guys have any opinions or comments on it, I would love to hear them.
Yes. Please let us know.
We out.
Chaotic with the outro.
Did you thank our people?
Oh, no.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Patreons members, Thor, Ruby, Mondi, and Nuggies.
You're all amazing. Thank you for supporting the podcast, as per always.
Yes. You guys are all winners. Oh.
Okay, now we're out. Just kidding. You guys were going to be wondrous, but I cut him off, so you're no longer wondrous. We'll see you later. Join us again next Monday on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, found on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. Silver and Chaotic talk about how monsters and myths came to be and how they would be received in modern-day society. Follow, like, and subscribe to support. Also find the podcast on Twitter and Discord with the links below to keep up to date with the newest merch and activity. Besides, who knows what mayhem we will get into next. Roll the music.